Chadman says, if you can't go with a front projector, would you recommend a large TV or an ultra short throw? Light controlled room. If an ultra short throw, which model is overall best? So I'll answer the last question just because I've reviewed quite a few of the ultra short throws. I really, really, really like the Hisense L9G. To me, that has the best picture quality, image quality, brightness. It's just fantastic. Ultra short throw projector. I think there's some newer models now, so I don't know how those compare, but that's just overall. That would be like, that's always been my go-to. If you've got the finances, this thing is a sweet ultra short throw. I love front projection though. I mean, you're talking 3 guys that chose to put a projection in our setup in our home theaters. And I think there's something to say about immersion. That immersive experience you cannot get. I'm about to install an 85-inch TV in my living room, and it's gonna be nice, it's gonna be huge, but I guarantee it's not gonna be the same immersiveness that I experienced in the theater room with a 150-inch. You just simply can't do that. So even with the ultra short throws, you can get, most of them will do minimum of a 100-inch. A lot of them will do a 120-inch, and we're seeing new ones come out that can handle up to a 150-inch diagonal. They're super bright because they're, most of the time, the laser's maybe 7 inches from the wall. I take that back. I guess the rear of the unit's 7 inches. So you're probably talking a foot, maybe 2 foot from your wall. So it's definitely really bright. It's good for, in your case, you say you've got a light controlled room, so you don't necessarily need, that, to be super, super close. You can get a bright image from a rear projection, or not rear projection, but one that's like a standard projector. You definitely can get a bright image from that. So I'm a fan, man, of projection. I just think it brings something that is different. The hard thing is if it's like in a living room, sometimes it's just not ideal to have a ceiling mount or a projector in the back wall. So it may not work in your setup. But if you can go with a standard front projector, I just think for me, I think those are phenomenal. But a lot of times you'll spend a lot more than you would in like a large TV. So what do you guys thought? What do y'all think, Jonathan?
I don't have a whole lot of experience with ultra short throws, to be quite frank. So I can't comment on that like you can.
So comment on large TV or projector. What would you go with?
Yeah, I mean that's there's kind of tricky since OLED entered the picture. Before OLED entered the picture, I'd absolutely say the exact same thing because like I was thinking about buying a big 85-inch this last generation, maybe even 2 generations ago. So what I did is I zoomed my screen down to 85 inches from 144.
Okay.
And it only took me about 2 minutes to say, no way.
Exactly. Yeah.
But then on the same token, one of our local guys here did a monthly movie night. He had a big OLED, like it might have even been a 77. Ryan, do you remember which one that was? It was Insokit was the guy's name on the forums. And he had maybe a 77 is what I'm guessing. Anyway,
the one
can you get an OLED that big?
Yeah, you can go all the way up to 97 now.
For an OLED though?
Yeah.
Okay. For some reason I was thinking you couldn't get.
They're super expensive when you get that high.
Yeah.
But anyway, the thing is, like we watched John Wick 3, and you know that ending scene where there's the neon lights and the glass basically building, and they're knocking down all the glass and all that kind of stuff. That OLED, perfect blacks, super vibrant colors. It wasn't as big, but it was a tighter area, and that picture was like just jaw-dropping. And you can't get that picture on a projector. No projector. Maybe a Christie. I haven't even seen that, but maybe a Christie. But that's $350,000 or whatever. So do you think you can get that picture on a Christie since you've seen it?
There's a lot of compromises that have to go into that. I mean, your room has to be virtually pitch black in order to do that, and an OLED can do it in a lit room.
But like, I mean, maybe this is a question that's too technical without looking it up, but what's the nit on it, right? Because a TV is going to have OLED might have like 700 nit on that kind of stuff.
Christie was still stupid bright.
Yeah.
I mean,
okay.
It was an amazing.
It should be. It's $450,000.
Yeah, I mean, it was $500,000 projector. So I don't know that was really a fair comparison, but
yeah, that's hard to.
It
Well, at any
depends.
rate, all I'm saying is that TV
Mhm.
kind of knocked my socks off. So
Yeah,
it's a
sure.
it's a different analogy than just
It is.
me shrinking it down and having it down to 85 inches in here
Right.
because the picture quality is so much better on OLED technology.
Sure. Now, one thing too is that I've heard a lot of guys mention this, and I don't have much experience with the TV because we've lived here 15 years and have never had a TV in our living room for the most part. So, and my kids have them, but they're just a little cheap. I've never had a nice TV. I've never had an OLED. Never had a QLED or any of those LEDs. You know, um, so I don't have a lot of experience with those differences, but some guys I've seen in my comments and emails and things, and they've shared with me that there's a difference in like the TV emits the light versus a projector reflects the light.
Mhm.
And so supposedly they're saying like it's more natural to our eyes seeing a reflected light than something that is emitting light towards us, kind of thing. So maybe it's just a different experience and depends on what you like. I think you can get a phenomenal, image quality. I mean, gorgeous image quality from a TV. But where I struggle with, again, I built a dedicated theater room. I
Sure.
wanted a different experience than what I can do in my living. I didn't want just a dark room with a TV. I wanted a movie room. I wanted a theater room. I wanted to walk in the door and go, well, we're in a whole like this is legit, this is different than what I've got at my house or what I've seen in other people's, living rooms. So that was kind of my purpose. So that was again, that was just that no compromise. And I did the same thing Jonathan did, but in my original I've got it right here. This is hilarious. I think it's funny. So in my original room, let me blow it up as big as I can get it. I didn't have the TV, but at that time, 15 years ago, do y'all remember roughly what size was like, man, that's a nice big TV. Any guess?
Probably in the 50-inch, right?
It was 55 inch. So I went on walmart.com, looked up the dimensions of a 55-inch TV, and then I walked back of course I didn't have the cabinet. So my room is 19 feet deep. So I walked to the back of the room, I taped this off, and here's what I looked at. And I went, that's not going to be too exciting for a theater room. You got this little bitty square on this big wall, 10-foot tall ceilings, 13 feet wide. Yeah. So that was my original setup. So yeah, I'm a projection guy, man. I really, really, I love projection, but it's not for everybody, And I think you can still get an amazing home theater experience with a TV. There's nothing wrong with that. But again, it's one of those things that you've got to decide and kind of think through, like, what's your desire? What really matters to you? If it's inky black levels, even with a JVC, you're not going to get that. You're going to get really, really deep blacks, but they can't compare with OLED, So, but really just depends on what matters to you the most.